What we're experiencing this year with Starfield Salt has been phenomenal. There was Salt for months up to launch, there was Salt for weeks after launch, and now here we are like a month and a half after the game has come out, and the Salt just continues to flow somehow. I mean, I'm not complaining, I'm just confused and honestly a little worried. So the other day, some big special numbers came out of Circana? These reports claim that Starfield was the #1 best-selling game of September in the United States, and it was the 7th best-selling game of the year so far, again, in the United States. The reason this report is significant should be obvious, but in case it's not, the simple fact that Starfield topped the sales charts means everyone who ever told you that Xbox Game Pass games can't compete with the rest of the industry, those people were wrong. It means everyone who ever told you that releasing what would be first-party console exclusive games on both the console and PC will result in big sales, gee whiz, who could have seen that coming? But all the people who ever told you that that idea is wrong. Basically, all the big pillars of the PS5 side of the console war were broken down with this simple report, so it shouldn't be surprising that this tweet from IGN sent PlayStation Twitter into a frenzy trying to explain why Starfield's launch was definitely still a flop, and Xbox is definitely still dead. All we heard for months leading up to Starfield's launch was that it would never be able to succeed, it was gonna flop because it was on Game Pass. But like this right here is evidence that that is absolutely not true. As if you needed any more evidence than the Steam charts and the Xbox digital sales charts and the sold out physical collector's editions. But like now there's more hard stat-based proof that the idea that Starfield was gonna flop and Game Pass is a complete piece of shit and Xbox is dead. Like it's not true. But obviously the diehard PlayStation peeps who've been saying for years on end now that there's no way Xbox will ever be able to compete with PlayStation with their first party games, and that Microsoft's move to the PC market, especially with Game Pass, it was going to destroy all possible sales opportunities. The console was dead. But like, this is just proof that it's not true, and they can't they can't handle that. A few hours after this report came out, Red Dragon, everyone's favorite PlayStation panoodle face. A few hours after the report came out, he tweeted, "Wow, Starfield sales are 13% lower than Forza Horizon." And then he attached this screenshot. It says, the game couldn't unseat Forza Horizon 5 as Xbox's biggest game launched this generation. Starfield's first 4 weeks on sale are 13% lower than what Forza Horizon 5 managed. Okay, now there are several things very dumb about this comparison, the most obvious of which being that you're comparing the sales of an E-rated franchise racing game to the sales of an M-rated sci-fi RPG that's not part of an established series. Like, the fact that Starfield was only 13% behind Forza is honestly pretty amazing. I also love how this comparison is literally never seen as negative in other studios. Like, Nintendo puts out Breath of the Wild, or, Mario Odyssey, and then puts out Metroid Dread. One of those games sold way less than the others, and no one said anything, because of course one sold less. It was appealing to a different audience, namely a less casual audience. Like, not to sound like that guy, but why is that only a problem when Xbox does it? No, Ratchet & Clank comes out, or Returnal comes out on the PlayStation 5, and they sell way less than fucking God of War Ragnarok, and there's no problems there. Like, it's just so stupid. Suddenly the sales disparity between first-party games appealing to different audience, like suddenly that sales disparity is an issue because it's not happening on PlayStation. But the point is this, the news of Starfield's sales numbers completely destroyed the ridiculousness of many of the criticisms levied at Microsoft from the PlayStation crowd. And naturally, PlayStation Twitter reacted by overreacting and making fools of themselves, so I whipped out my trusty screenshot button and poured a cup of coffee to share my favorite responses to this IGN tweet with you all. Joel says, when there's nothing else big releasing, you should have sales for the first month. There were a couple like this, like the whole there was no competition in September thing, despite the report literally having sales for the whole year. But, like this one too, this one's extra stupid. Iron Wing says, does it prove anything? Starfield, even with half the sale of Fallout 4, still top selling chart easy with the competition being indie games, racing games, and fighting game. I love this. Like, the competition was indie games and like, did you miss this fucking chart? This one, the one right under the September one? There have been some huge releases this year. It's 2023, like Street Fighter 6, RE4, Dead Space, Zelda, Diablo, fucking Hogwarts Legacy. Taking this chart and this information as canon, Starfield is the 7th best-selling game of the entire year, and the fact that it's pulling that in a year this stacked is all the more impressive. But you guys just can't fathom that, either because you don't want to, or because you literally didn't look at the thing you were responding to. Which frankly, I think is more likely. Dave says, and the majority of those sales were on PC. Okay. So? Starfield sold incredibly on PC, but so did Baldur's Gate 3 on PC, and as someone else pointed out, that game didn't make the list at all. So, assuming Starfield's PC sales numbers were comparable to Baldur's Gate 3's, which they should be given how long Starfield was in the top 10, then these reports should be an indication of just how many people bought it on Xbox as well. Or am I getting a little too deep here? People are absolutely buying this game on the Xbox. If Baldur's Gate 3 was one of the best-selling PC games of the year and it didn't make this list, and Starfield was right next to Baldur's Gate 3 on the Steam charts for a long, long time, and yet Starfield makes this list and Baldur's Gate 3 doesn't, it's almost like those extra sales to get it on the list had to come from somewhere. Where could that have possibly been? Could it be from the Xbox, perchance? Tristan says, but that is only because of PC sales. Xbox console had nothing to do. And then attaches a screenshot that says PC was the lead sales platform for Starfield. First of all, it sold better on PC, yes, but that doesn't mean Xbox had nothing to do with it. Like, how the fuck do you come to that conclusion? But also, you attach this screenshot as if it's a giant takedown, but it's like, yeah, the single-player Bethesda RPG sold better on PC than Xbox in the current year. It's almost like different platforms have different, more popular genres. So restricting games to one platform is really fucking stupid. Sony, release Bloodborne on PC. Travis Squire says, exception to the rule. When in doubt, just whip out the good old-fashioned nuh-uh. Like, that's all you got? Just like, nuh-uh. Hey, there's a thing that contradicts what you believe. Nah, I ain't reading that. Samuel says they ought to be glad the game was on PC because that's where the bulk of the sales probably came from, lol. So you agree that first-party console games should be on PC as well? Good to know. Oliver Darko says, alternative viewpoint. Despite Starfield's much anticipated release, PlayStation 5 continued to lead last month's console market in the US ahead of Xbox. I mean, I guess that's one way to look at it, I guess. Fucking PlayStation guys go 5 minutes without bringing up the PlayStation at every opportunity challenge. Impossible. 100% fail. Like, genuinely, what does this have to do with Starfield's numbers? Starfield's on Xbox and PC, so what the fuck does this point even matter in context? In conclusion, Starfield was a very, very, very good success for Microsoft, no matter how you want to look at this. It was a smash hit on the PC, it was a big success on the console, and it re-established that Microsoft is dedicated to competing with Sony and keeping its name in the running for the top dog, even if it means full committing to the Xbox PC ecosystem they've created to take on Sony's ridiculous super dedication to console exclusivity. The strategy is working just fine for them, and if anything, it's just proving that Sony should be taking notes. The PS5 is drastically outselling the Xbox, yes, and yet Microsoft's first-party games are still topping the sales charts. It's almost like the PC is an incredibly valuable market. I swear, you guys look at this chart and you're like, oh man, Starfield was only one of the biggest games this year because it was also on PC. And then every time Sony releases a game on PC, you cry about it for a week and a half. So fucking which one is it? This right here is what happens when competition shows up. You might want to get used to this. Toodles.